what's difficult is especially with an autistic presentation, that child experiencing panic is unseen like in school, but as a parent it's really hard because it's unseen, and then the child has to reach the tipping point, at which point it has an impact on mental health, and then you're dealing with something that's much more than just that. You're dealing with the much bigger picture where you're possibly going into crisis, and then it's reflecting and saying, oh my goodness, all that time, I think we've all said here, gosh, I was sending, come on, it's just a headache, off you go, tummy ache, okay, off you go. And it takes years for that to build up, until at which point in mainstream it's just too much, and that child experienced too much trauma and they can't cope anymore. And it's the hidden side of it. How do we support the children better? Because what I've been thinking as we've all been talking is that actually it's great now as parents, we all know how our children are feeling, but that's come at a huge cost because they've had to reach their tipping point. We're all able to say, oh, she feels like this or he feels like that, and he doesn't want to be in this room, he doesn't want to da. And that's because our children have now been given the space to be able to articulate that's how they're feeling, but that's in the safety of a parent-child relationship. So
actually, I'm not sure, we're at a stage where I'm not sure that her articulating how she feels really helps, because I don't think the school know what to do. And because she's incredibly bright, she could probably easily sit 9 or 10 GCSEs and she'd be expected to do really well. And she doesn't identify as being autistic, and she doesn't want to go to a special needs school. Nobody really knows what to say, because they're trying to get her into school because they can see theoretically she should be able to do school. What she's saying seems illogical to them. They're like, well, that's, but you are safe, and let's just try and build you up, and there you can see you're safe and you'll be okay. So sort of the fact that she can articulate how she feels, it's almost then worse, because she said how she feels, and yet still there seems to be no obvious answer that gets her an education which she really, really wants, without her having to do something that she finds impossible. And that's quite hard to process.
Yeah, and the danger is it gets so bad that that the child, this is what happened with my daughter. It got so bad that she hit complete crisis and had to come out of school, and it's a really dangerous situation. So it's like how it just builds up until that point. It's like, how do we stop that build up happening? Even now we can see the signs, so how are we going to stop that happening?
Is she back in school then?
She's out of mainstream.
Okay.
Yeah, I think part of the difficulty is that our children do take a lot of responsibility, but for a long time they don't understand what is going on. And when you don't know what's going on, you just know you're not right. That in itself incites the anxiety, does it not? The panic. If you don't understand, I'm experiencing panic, and then you try to stem it, you try to monitor it, you don't know why. How do you convey what's going on if you don't understand it? And so when you spend hours trying to make sense of it, but you're constantly fearful and this constant adrenaline is flowing through your veins, it's really difficult to explain to others. But I think there's also a mismatch, because with the best will in the world, what we're hearing is that young people are saying, by their behavior, I'm coming to you outside of the classroom, I can't cope with this, and however the language is, I've got a headache, I've got a sore leg, I've got a sore arm, I've got a tummy ache. All of that is, well, have a sip of water, or let's get you back into class. And actually, somehow we need to kind of do a bit more investigative work. But if we take the example that some young people don't want to talk about it, to an adult, then what do we do? And I think it then goes back a bit more that we need our parents. We really need our parents to be able to fill in the missing blanks. And I think there is a major problem here because quite often we don't work in partnership with our parents. Go on.
We got put under the in our local area, the team for the parents that refuse to send their children to school and will be fined, because clearly we could think of no better team to support us, despite there being a better one. And so when the lady first came round, I was like, you're not actually meeting her the first time, you're meeting me.